Hello everyone, it's day 11. I am going to do something a little bit different today. If you have been watching my videos, you'll see that I am starting to get a little bit deeper into this. I'm starting to ask more questions. I'm feeling that more emotions about this challenge are bubbling up. Another thing that's happening is that I'm getting people starting to ask me questions about their challenges. All of these things combined together, and it's getting to be, the challenge is it's changing slightly. It's not becoming so much about me being out in the street and talking to people. It's there's becoming a more internal side to that. So I thought what I would do today is talk about one of the points, one of the questions or discussions that I've been having with someone. And that is to do around having a connection. So somebody asked me, somebody sent me a message saying, if I see someone random, like how do I have a connection with them? How do I do that? And we were talking, and all these different ideas and thoughts came out, but it made me realize this. What is a connection? Like, I was thinking about what is a connection, and how do we perceive a connection when we talk to somebody? When you talk to somebody, how do you perceive that happening? So, I've been going out and talking to people for a week and a half now, and initially I was doing it because I wanted to get somewhere or attain something. And then, it's a natural thing in the beginning to do that, but then I've overcome that and I've started to look beyond that. I got to a stage where I stopped caring so much about people were thinking, what they were thinking about me, and I started to look deeper into my own motivations about why I was going out to meet people. When I see somebody ask me a question like that, I'm seeing that a lot of those challenges are coming out within them. And one of the big ones that comes out, which is one that I feel that I'm struggling with at the moment and why I want to talk about it, and that one is a simple question. When you build a connection with someone, is that a bad thing? Because the obvious answer to that is no, of course it isn't. Like, if you have a great conversation with someone, it's not bad. How could that possibly be bad? And yet we have all these sort of deep issues in ourselves, in our subconscious, which tells us that yes, that's bad. And the result of that is we walk around, we go about our daily business, and we don't talk to each other. If you go into a crowded street, don't really see people talking to each other. Why is that? Why is that? And I think, like, for me at least, starting this challenge and where I am now with that, like, I have this feeling that connecting with people, like, we get taught that it's a bad thing to do. We get taught that you need to keep your distance. You shouldn't engage, and you shouldn't, most importantly, you shouldn't enjoy doing that. You shouldn't enjoy having an interaction with someone. Now, that's manifested in me in different ways. For example, if I was going to walk down the street, jump in front of somebody and be like, woo, like that, and maybe surprise them. Somebody was suggesting that I did that yesterday, and I was having a hard time with the idea of doing that, because I'm thinking, well, I don't want them to have a bad feeling from me. I don't want to create a bad feeling within that person. I only want to create good feelings. And I was thinking about this a lot, and I was thinking, but hang on a minute, like, we do that with our friends all the time, and it's not a negative thing. If you're a friend of mine, I might tease you. I might say something that's like, rib you a little bit, and it's all jovial, it's all fun and games, and it's not a bad thing. But for some reason, when we do that to a stranger, that becomes a bad thing, in our minds at least. And it's kind of this whole thing about being ourselves, that we're not allowed to be ourselves around other people. We're not allowed to express ourselves. I see this manifested in other people, where people are constantly being like, oh, well, they ask me questions, or they talk about how they express themselves to other people, and I'm finding uniformly that people say that they think something, and they say, this is what I think about this person, like either maybe I like them, or I find them beautiful, maybe they are inspiring to me, and for some reason they feel that they can't say that, and they ask me, they say, what do I say? And my answer to them is always the same: whatever you just told me, that is what you're supposed to say to them. And when I stand in the street and I talk to somebody, that is what I do. If I like somebody, I'll stop them and then say, like, I like you for this reason. And I've found that if I do that, it is pretty much always well received. Nobody says, well, I don't care what you think. Like, they're not gonna, I mean, maybe they're busy and they can't really hear what you're saying, but nobody ever rejects you paying them a compliment. Not truly. But I think, we're just too afraid to express ourselves. So, I mean, that's basically the theme of this video. What I'm saying is, if you're afraid, if you think or feel something about somebody that you've seen, then don't let that fear stop you from going out there and expressing that feeling or that thought to that person. Because I think if you let that happen, if you let fear take over, then you're never going to meet anybody that you want to meet. You're never going to have the friends that you want to have. And your life is just going to be, it's just going to end up being, it's going to pale in comparison to what it could be. You could have all this abundance, but you're choosing not to have it. So don't do that. Start practicing expressing who you are. Start telling people how you feel, especially if it's a stranger. Because you never know. There's no way that you can know how they're going to receive it, and the only way that you know is if you try. So this has been my day 11. I'm not going to go out and do approaches today because I have to work on these questions. I feel like it would be a waste of time if I don't do this kind of work on these thought processes and internal work, and more crucially, work on the work in other areas of my life which I've been putting off. I've got to sort them out. So I hope this has been useful. I'll see you tomorrow.